Those were some incredible sessions, weren't they? Thank you so much for your attention and participation in each of these sessions. I understand that Representative Cleaver has a very good excuse for not joining us, as the January 6th Commission debate is getting pretty hot and heavy in the House. I just hope the debate doesn't blow up the way Bitcoin is doing right now. Sorry, it's getting late. It's getting a little slap silly around here. But we do have one more contest for you. The first person who can tell us the color of the socks Rick Raditz is wearing will win one of his books, The Path to Political Harmony. So what color are the socks that Rick is wearing? Put it in the comment bar. First person to get it accurate, I think we can tell the color and they're not just dirty, will win his book. We have accomplished so much over these 2 days. We still have a little more. I was just telling Carlos, we're at mile 25 of the marathon. We're there, but it's great stuff yet to come. Caroline has been very studiously collecting the thoughts that you have been sharing. And so with that, she's going to report out here, and you finally get to look at somebody much better looking. And so here you go.
Thank you, folks. Here I am. I can't see myself, so we'll see about the better looking. But I wanted to wrap up by thanking you first. We still have awards and quite a bit left for the rest of the day. But to wrap up some of our findings and things that we were reflecting on throughout this conference, we've had 2 very valuable and intellectually stimulating days. I know we've covered a wide range of topics that are very important and vital to the discussion of civility in all the various sectors that we've covered, from the private sphere of your very own life to the public sphere of social interactions, as limited as they may be right now, to the political realm. We know that civility must be integrated into conversations in all of these spaces. We'd like to wrap up the educational content of these past 2 days by offering a few summaries. What we found is that by developing a greater mindfulness skill and resistance to propaganda and the often biased viewpoints promoted by news outlets, we can become more aware of the persuasive techniques sometimes triggering and cultivating our incivility. We should avoid language that creates these stigmas and be conscious of why our worldview is the way it is. We should be aware of what is shaping our perception, how we're impacted by those surrounding us, and really the framing of society. From Trabian Shorters, we've learned about how our thought processes are framed and really internalized due to the way that knowledge has been presented to us by our society. By changing this very narrative and calling upon the positive statistics of our current surroundings, we can break down misconceptions. We can break down stigmas and the hatred and incivility we are treating others with. While we've learned that differences in opinion are completely healthy, as Rick Raditz voiced, if we voice them with incivility, it leads to violence, unhealthy conversations, toxic and harmful relationships, even intercultural relationships, and essentially political gridlock. As promoted by Heidi Harman, individuals rather should focus on individual purpose and passion. We should rediscover and we should re-recognize the collective acknowledgement of the shared love and care we have for our various communities. It is absolutely necessary that we maximize the good by influencing what we can and applying the logic of economics to societal actions. So in that way, we really apply the logic of economics to all human actions. We've learned about several civility-based initiatives throughout the last couple of days and about various books that we can utilize to learn more and really learn about what civility means in all these various realms. So I do encourage every single one of you that this is not the end of your journey and your growth. Allow yourself to learn. Even if you did not win one of these wonderful books, take the opportunity to utilize the resources that our speakers have shared and really dive deeper into what is shaping your worldviews, dive deeper into what is shaping your perception of what civility means, and continue to grow, continue to apply civility and the transformative power that it has to your daily interactions, to your greater interactions with the system as a whole, in economics, in politics. Apply what you're learning now and continue to apply it, and you will see change occur. We've learned that this change can occur at a grassroots level, like with like Doom Lankard and Mina Lee are doing, from the bottom up. But we've also learned how politicians and leaders can be catalysts in the fight for justice. One organization that we've extensively heard from is the Institute of Civility and Government just now, who promotes a citizen-centered America. And wouldn't we want that? Don't we all want that? That citizen-centered America that utilizes civility as a mechanism for change rather than just a system, and something that we reference in order to oppress others further. No, instead it should be a mechanism for change, a mechanism for justice for all. Really, there's a lot that we have learned, and I'm sure that there's plenty more hot topics from the last 2 days that I'm missing out. But it has been a busy last 2 days for us back here in the studio. So I do hope that you've learned a lot, and I believe I have, and I'm happy to recognize that all these resources that we've been sharing and all these lectures that you've been hearing, presentations you've been seeing, videos we've been referencing, and books that we've been referencing, they will all be available to you. On our platform, the current platform that you're on as of this moment, the content will live on. So you will have the opportunity to rewatch the presentations, most of the presentations. You will have the opportunity to reference what you've learned and utilize it in your own education and in your own roles that you play in your life. And you can utilize it for the greater good and in changing our community. So I hope that you've had a great time. I have. And with that, I will bring Russ back onto the screen to read us our position statements and conclude that part of our conference.
Thank you, Caroline, for putting a wrap on so much material that we covered. I'm sure we missed things. Don't hesitate to share that with us. If you have other major takeaways, please share that with us, and we will find a way to incorporate it all and push it back out to you. On your screen, you're seeing the survey as far as gauging how you're feeling. And what we want to see is, how did you feel coming into this conference? How are you feeling now? And we hope to be able to share that with you. We're going to come back now to the position statements. You did a phenomenal job of providing your feedback. We had 5, as I had mentioned, and then we had a late arrival that I want you to consider as well, because I think it's also poignant, as are these others. So on your screen, you're going to be seeing each of these position statements. They're going to be on the wall, I believe. And as you go through them, as I read them, I'd like you to vote up or down on them. Yes, you think it's one we should adopt, or no, it isn't. Make sure to refresh your screen to make sure that they all pop up. So hopefully you're there with me. You're reading position statement number 1. The Urgency of Civility Conference believes that we need to restore confidence in the American election system by reintroducing bipartisan support of some form of the Fairness Doctrine, as well as formation of local bipartisan civil commissions to assess current risks prior to elections, monitor election fairness during an election, and report to officials and the community on any irregularities that has disadvantaged any voters through the process. You in favor of us adopting it or not? Yes or no, please. Second position statement. The Urgency of Civility Conference believes that efforts should be concentrated on encouraging voters to hold their representatives responsible for behaving like a loyal opposition instead of stubborn obstructionists. While we have no individual direct power over elected officials, voters do, even if many don't realize it. Yes or no? Third position statement. The Urgency of Civility Conference believes that the act of voting needs to become more accessible to all. This means expanding voting hours and increasing voter accessibility to all demographics. This includes accommodations for non-English speaking citizens, differently abled citizens, and those in need of special assistance throughout the voting process. Also, careful consideration of retaining paper balloting in the electoral process, as well as electronic balloting. Are you in favor of that or against it? Okay, position statement number 4. The Urgency of Civility Conference believes civic learning within the education system needs to be enhanced in order to better equip young Americans as to how to become more involved and more civically engaged. I think we can remove that second more. We will do this by encouraging the incorporation of critical thinking practices, and supporting the inclusion of emotional intelligence and civility training as part of school curriculums. Position statement number 5. All righty, I'm going to keep going here. Position statement number 5. The Urgency of Civility Conference believes that in the interest of the common good, we must encourage a culture of commitment to lifelong civic engagement. This may include a year of service experience in civic engagement through volunteerism. This will be accomplished by encouraging local, state, and federal governments, NGOs, nonprofit organizations, and schools to sponsor and more effectively promote volunteer, paid, and tuition waiver service opportunities. We have one thumbs up here. Are you in favor of it or against it? And then here's the late arrival. This came from one of our attendees that wasn't able to share all of the conference with us, but he suggested the Urgency of Civility Conference believes in encouraging and engaging government, business organizations, and academia down to a personal level in establishing and supporting environments that recognize and reward individual civil discourse. And that one, to me, encapsulates a lot of these others. The others, of course, are more specific in how to. So I'm going to be really curious as to how you take those and how you vote on them. All righty. Caroline, are you prepared to share the results of the contests?
Hi, I'm back, folks. So as you know, or maybe remember, our day 1 leaderboard winner was Karen Banda. So I'm just going to repeat that one more time for you all, that Karen Banda was our first day's leaderboard winner. So you will be receiving our prizes. And then for today on the leaderboard for the points, we have Jennifer Radix Johnson. And I know that you've won one book already that I cannot remember right at this moment off the top of my head, but you will be receiving 2 other books from us as well. And there you go. There you'll have your trio. And that will be our winner for today, for today's round of the game leaderboard. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline, and thank all of you again for staying engaged and participating in the fun games. And I know you'll enjoy those books. I'm going to go ahead, and if you'll indulge me for just a few moments, to share some thank yous. There's still a little bit more program after this, but I'm going to go ahead with those thank yous now. And I'm thanking all of you who helped to make this long-standing dream of mine a reality. First, a hearty thank you to all of our presenters who were nothing short of superb and who gave up so much time to share their thoughts and wisdom with us. While you may have only seen them for a couple of hours, they poured tons of time and effort into creating valuable sessions for you. Each of you truly exceeded my highest expectations. Thanks also to all this who made this possible by working behind the scenes, including our breakout facilitators, John, Jamie, Bob, Mike, Tomas, Jennifer, Elia, and Adam. You all made this run incredibly smoothly. And a special thanks to all of those here in the command center. Thank you for making it all happen. From keeping us well fed, thank you, J-Lo, and your better half, Trixie, to serving as my behind the scenes writer, Becky, thank you for helping me sound reasonably intelligent, except for the times that I didn't. And to Caroline and Carlos, who are those proverbial ducks, where when you see them swimming on the water, everything is nice and calm. But underneath, they are frantic. You made it all run as smoothly as possible. You made me look as good as I possibly could. And all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart to both of you. Caroline, by the way, flew in from Arizona, and she was just asking what time we can expect traffic to lighten up tonight. And our answer was by midnight. I also want to thank our exhibitionists, those who exhibited in booths for doing that. And thank you to our sponsors, without which this just would not have been pulled off. The National Coalition for Dialogue and Discourse, Oakland Durant Rockridge Masonic Lodge number 188, the Meriwether Family Community Fund, Peripheral Media, the Masonic Family Civility Project, King David's Lodge number 209, to Prince Racinzolo, the Bridge Alliance Education Fund, the Institute for Civil Dialogue, the Institute for Civility and Government, and most of all, the Worldwide Civility Council. And my final thank you, my sincerest gratitude is to each of you, our attendees. You are the ambassadors who will put into action all that you have absorbed over these 2 days. While a conference like this likely would have been better had we all been in the same place, sharing meals, drinks, laughs, and maybe even tears, I think this nonetheless was incredibly effective. 2 years ago, when we hosted the first Urgency of Civility conference in Alexandria, Virginia, I started it off by asking the folks, or stating to the folks, I don't know if I want this conference to be so successful that you don't feel there's a need for another one, or it's so successful that you clamor for another one. And at the end of the conference, I asked, which is it? And they overwhelmingly said, we want another one. I told them and they wanted it next year. Well, thank goodness I told them I don't have the energy for one next year. You'll get it in 2 years, because we all know what May of 2020 looked like. So I again ask you, is this something that should be repeated? I will warn you, however, that no matter how much you might ask for another conference next year, it just simply won't happen. 2023 is the soonest we will make it happen. All that said, I have to tell you, it's my sincere hope that we work ourselves out of a job, because society has returned to a high level of treating everybody with civility, dignity, and respect. I started yesterday by saying it's my belief that the door towards civility is now ajar. Let's jam our toe in it. Let's push it open with all of our force and ram through it with all that we have learned. So that if you decide we should reconvene in 2 years, we will decide we have now hit the worst of it and are heading back down from the summit. Also at the beginning, I asked I asked you to note 3 things that you're going to take away and put into practice as a result of this. Because while we learned about all the big things that we can be doing, this all distills to personal responsibility. How are each of us going to be that proverbial stone that gets dropped into the placid waters of complacency and allow our actions, our words, our behavior to cause those ripples that extend to the far shores and create permanent systemic change. So what are those three things you're going to implement? All righty. In terms of a few follow-up things, we are going to post materials and resources and so on. So any of our presenters that want things shared with our attendees, make sure to get those to us. We're going to share a follow-up survey with you. We want to know what we did well, what we could improve. So please be forthright, frank with your assessment. When we finish up here, we are going to open up one large collective breakout Zoom room. And the idea here is that all of us can get back into one room and brainstorm what we can do collectively, how we can collaborate on this effort. In a moment here, we're going to hear from Daniel Buccino, as soon as we can find him. In the meantime, I want to thank you for taking this journey with us. This civility journey on which so many of us are traveling is like us traveling along a highway, where occasionally our GPS will make us take an errant exit. The good news about that is if we stay on that freeway or highway for a bit longer, we will undoubtedly encounter an on-ramp. Each of us in our own behavior, much as we strive to be ever civil, are going to make mistakes. We cannot expect perfection out of ourselves nor anybody else. The question is how we handle those erroneous times. What do we do to learn from it? And most importantly, what do we do to get back on the journey, on the highway and pursue our journey? And where we have harmed somebody, where we have hurt somebody, what do we need to do to repair the relationship, to make it right? The first step, of course, is owning it, admitting you messed up. The next step is apologizing to the person whom you have harmed. And the third most important part of it, in my opinion, is figuring out what you can do, what you must do to repair the relationship. So again, thank you for taking this journey with us.